So Sally, we're going to start now with the 25 quickfire questions under the Getting to Know Sally Smith.
Oh, yes.
So let's start with question number 1. What is your full name given at birth?
Sally Smith.
When is your birthday and the year of your birth?
19th of April 1942.
As a child, where were you born and raised?
Godalming, Surrey.
If any, how many brothers or sisters did you have?
None.
What is your earliest memory of going to the cinema or theatre?
When I was 2 years old, I was in a show at the ballet school. That's the first time I'd ever been in a theatre. And unfortunately, all the parents hated me because I pulled the curtains apart when the end of the show came and told the orchestra to play more. And my mother was more than embarrassed, as you can imagine. That's my first theatre I'd ever put my foot on. First thing I ever saw was Red Shoes, which was the most wonderful movie, and I made my mother sit through it twice. Poor mother, she was so wonderful. And that's the earliest.
Growing up, did you have a favourite actor or actress whose work you really admired?
Yes. Gregory Peck and Claudette Colbert.
And what was it about those two in particular?
I think Gregory Peck he's so still when he works. It takes a lot of energy to be actually that still, believe it or not. And I think he's so natural. He's got, you don't believe he's learnt something. You believe he's actually doing it. I just think he's wonderful. Claudette Colbert, she just was, there was something magical about her. Can't explain it, just loved her.
Was there an actual event or trigger that first prompted you to seriously consider acting as a profession, and how old were you at the time?
No to that. My mother had trouble with my legs. I had bandy legs, but she got them straight. But she had to send me to a dance school, and she couldn't find me a place, and finished up going to Aida Foster's in Golders Green, which was a wonderful school, I have to say. And my legs were straight by then, good old Ma. And that's where I went, and that's where I learnt the business. And I didn't really much stop working. I don't know why, but I did modelling jobs here, modelling jobs there, a little bit of something here and a little bit of something there. And I was 8. Yes, I think I was 8.
So you covered a little bit of there. Did you ever attend a stage school or audition, study or formally train to be an actor anywhere?
I most certainly did. I went to Aida Foster's in Golders Green, who was just lovely, lovely, lovely school. I went with a lot of people who were very famous. Simmons was there. She obviously had gone to America round about when I arrived there because I was very young. And I can't remember her name. She was the nude who was painted in gold, in Goldfinger. Oh,
Eaton.
Yes, Shirley the Pearl was there. And it was a wonderful, wonderful school. And I wish it was still around. And I loved them all.
Either before you began your acting career, or maybe when you were between roles at any point in your career, outside of acting, what other jobs have you done?
Gardening, cleaning, riding my horses, seeing to my dogs, seeing to other people's dogs, seeing to other people's horses. Yeah, around about that.
What was your first ever paid acting performance, i.e. your professional debut, and how old were you?
That would have been The Magic Box with Robert Donat and God knows how many other stars, but they were all there on it.
Can you remember how old you were when someone first asked you for an autograph?
Yes, I was 12. I like that. I was 12 years old and I was doing the Boys and Girls exhibition at the Olympia that was then. I think it's all gone now, but it was a beautiful place, wonderful. And they had the Girls and Boys exhibition there and it was over 2 floors and I was modelling. And this dear little girl came up and said, "Can I have your autograph?" And I went, "Most certainly, yes." I'm only tiny, may I hasten to add. I'm 4'10". That was my first signing autographs.
At any point in your life or your career, have you ever been starstruck when meeting someone famous? And have you ever asked anyone for their autograph?
No. Answer to that. Met a lot of famous people. Sophia Loren was by far the most beautiful creature I've ever seen in my life. And charming. How charming. You'd think she'd say, "Oh, stand up, do this, do that." Not a bit of it. She was just beautiful.
Throughout your career, were you ever one for collecting any memorabilia? And what, if anything, do you still have in your possession today?
I have 2 photographs. One was a photograph of myself, big head, for Harblager, which I did the advert for, got paid a fortune. And the other is another picture of myself, which Anthony Armstrong-Jones, Lord Snowdon, took. And they were blown up. And I found them when I came here 5 years ago. And that's the only thing I've got, really. I hate to say.
To perform in, what would you choose? Theatre, television, cinema or radio?
Do you know, any of them, really. I do love the theatre because you can move around, you know. Filming, you have to stand, you have to be very structured. And the theatre, once you've learnt what you're doing and you're a free bird, then you can move to the music, so theatre. I do like radio, mind.
Which of your parts, performances or characters would you say people remember you for the most?
Probably Jennifer, Human Jungle.
Whether it be for what you did on stage or screen, can you name any of your own individual performances that you are personally the most proudest of?
I can actually. I went to South Africa to do a play. Well, I went on holiday, and while I was there I met a friend of mine who was out there. We'd done a lot of work together over here, side by side by Sondheim, and he got me into a television series that he was doing, and I actually loved it. I found it very free and easy out there.
Is there a part or a role that you still remember today that you auditioned for or really wanted but didn't get?
No, I'm afraid not.
Was there ever a part that you had to turn down for whatever reason, maybe due to other work commitments, that you later regretted further down the line?
No, I was all right there.
Can you name a co-star that you liked working with the most, and maybe any that you had a tougher time working with?
Hi Hazel was one of my favourites. There are so many. I'd be going blah, 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 for everything, but she was a very lovely person.
And what about people you didn't like, or was unreliable, or always turning up late?
I don't know. I must have had a very easy life because I actually don't remember anyone that I disliked. Truly, I don't.
Rather than saying who your favourite director is, let's ask it in a slightly different way. Outline what a director needs to do to get the best performance out of Sally Smith.
That's a very, very difficult question. This is going to sound very pompous, and I don't mean it to. I worked with a gentleman called Richard Digby Day, and I did a show with him. And then I did another show with him. And somebody else was directing the next show, which he was more producing. And he said to the director, "Don't direct her, just tell her where to go." And I thought, well, that's a funny thing to say to somebody. And I said, "Richard, why are you saying that?" And he said, "You're too natural to direct. You usually come out with the things absolutely as it should be." Sorry about that. It does sound pompous, doesn't it?
You mentioned there about a director that you liked working with. What about the traverse of that, Sally? Is there a director or a certain directing style that doesn't work well with you?
No. All the people I've worked with have been actually very lovely people. And I'm very laid back. I just do as I'm told. I walk there, I do this, I do that, I say the lines. And that's it.
A bit of a left field one for you now, Sally. You are hosting an intimate dinner party.
Yes.
And you're able to invite 3 other guests to attend. Alive or dead, in the profession, outside of the profession. Who would you choose to invite?
Eartha Kitt. I would love desperately to have had a proper conversation with Garbo. And Gregory Peck.
That would have been an interesting dinner party for sure.
But I would have been the boss.
If you could relive one moment from your career once again, what would you choose?
Believe it or not, Marigold. I was the youngest leading lady in the West End for 40 years. Nobody's topped me since. And it was I'm going to cry now. It was so sweet, the show. I mean, it was sickly sweet. But it was so lovely, and I just loved it. Jeremy Brett was in it. And I adored Jeremy. And I can remember the music and everything else about it. The other lovely thing I did was a beautiful show called Listen to the Wind, which I also loved. They were the 2 most magical shows I'd ever done.
Looking back over your career, do you have any regrets? If you had your time again, would you have done anything differently or made any different choices at any stage?
Do you know, I honestly don't think I would. I'm very lucky. I was very lucky to do things that came my way. I'd like to have done more filming, maybe, although I could get a bit bored sitting around waiting for everything, because I'm a bit of a live wire, I'm afraid. No, I don't think there is, really. I've been very, very, very happy in what I did in the theatre and television and radio and everything else.
Tell us something about you or your career that most people would not already know.
I don't think they know that I'm crazy for animals, and I could never wait to get home to ride the horse and play with the dogs. I don't think people would know that my mother turned around to me. I asked her if I may borrow £100 because a cheque hadn't come through. We always had to wait 3 months for cheques, which was stupid. And I asked her if I might borrow £100, and she said, "Don't be silly. You're perfectly capable. Go and sweep the streets." And I was so taken back because she was so generous that it floored me. So there we are. That's that.
Finish the sentence. Whatever happened to the actress Sally Smith?
She gave up the business because she got so sick of everybody being so spoilt. I was brought up in a different world, on a different plane even, and 3 children that were in a particular show, I will not mention, I heard them, they were picked out of the school, given a West End job, and after a week they were bored. Now, that freaked me out, absolutely freaked me out. So I think I just had enough. I'd been in it for a very long time. And met some beautiful people.
And where do we find Sally today? What do you do with your time? Any hobbies, leisure activities?
I'm a great walker. I quite like some afternoon telly, which is stupid, I know, but it's quite good and I like it. It relaxes me. I love gardening. I love gardening. And I help some friends out with gardens, and I used to do the garden next door, funnily enough. Yes, that's about it. I can't squeeze much more into my life. I'm out with the dogs for 2, 3, 4 hours a day, so